So now we should be able to bop together. So here, let's listen to the playback. Hello everyone, it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for watching. Hello everyone. In this video I wanted to do something fun with the Yeti box. Previously I had modeled a different box and was going to use that, but we'll use the Yeti box from a previous video. So for this, we will go ahead and apply a few modifiers just to keep things simple. So this one is good to go. This one will need its mirrors applied. This one will also need its mirrors applied. For this one, we'll apply its mirror. Just simplifying things. So all this geometry is now real, which will probably be regrettable. But let's give it a try anyways. So I'm going to grab all of this and join it together. Applying is always scary and regrettable, especially when you see such poly counts displaying on the screen. We'll need to definitely get our subdivision modifier under control, because having so much geometry is just not going to work for this. But we now have this whole thing as one mesh. In fact, if we wanted to, we could also combine this into that one mesh. Let's go ahead and try that. So we'll apply, and we need to convert this entire mesh to, we need to convert this over to be a mesh in order to apply all this. So I'm going to remove the subdivision, Control A, and then we will do visual geometry to mesh, and then I can put subdivision back on it. For this piece, we are already good to go except for applying the mirror. So we can grab both these and then join them all together. And it looks like we got a little gung-ho there. Let's make sure that that mirror is applied. And then let's get together all of this mesh. So now we have the entire mesh all together. And we just have our weighted normal, our smooth binormals. In fact, our modifiers are kind of out of order there. But here we're ready to proceed. So I'm going to save this as a iterative file. And we'll even put GN in front of it just so I know that I am taking this through geometry notes. Because we could get in Boxcut, do a little HardOps, have fun that way. But we want to try something a little different than norm. And previously I remember doing a talking box routine with this when I rotated this empty back when everything was separated, and now I want to try it with geometry nodes. So geometry nodes has been a real trial by fire for me, as in I just wish I could set myself on fire instead of learning them, but I have been making some progress with getting an understanding of it. So we just have our subdivision, our smooth binormals, and our geometry nodes modifier, and that's probably out of order. We probably want something like that, but when it comes to smoothing, smoothing is now a geometry nodes modifier too, so we could probably just get rid of that and come back to that. But let's also shade this with flat, just so we have just flat shading for this. And let's just jump in and begin. So I'm going to say instances, and we want to split this to instances, and I'm going to look for something called mesh island. And with that mesh island, we should now be able to split this into instances based on each object, which is pretty handy. This is where things get weird. Now, I am definitely not a node master, so I've been just practicing and practicing and practicing in hopes that these things connect. So let's just see. So now we have everything split to instances. In order to show you what that means, let's jump this over to instance, and now we have basically isolations of everything. So if we wanted to, we could bring in a compare, and we could use compare maybe with an integer, and we want to use equal, and we can now select elements specifically that we want. And this is something that when I saw that Blender's viewer was beginning to get to this level, I was quite happy. Also, these are not applied or attached, so let's try that again. Let's apply the bevel and then apply that, and let's bring back our box. Our box disappeared because we never connected up to the output over here. That means whenever we deselect, it just disappears. So something like that. And then I can now go and select this, then select this, join them together. And even though these are all joined together, that means that my index has probably changed up a little bit, right? So let's jump in here, and now we see that we are highlighting something else. And what I want to do is highlight this back part and then rotate it just by itself. So let's have fun with that. I'm going to rotate instance, and we want to use the selection that we had. And this means that if we were to mess with our rotation, we are now rotating the shape. In fact, let's turn off subdivision for this, just so everything is performant and quick. And we want the rotation of the X. So let's use a mix. And I love mix. Mix allows you to just mix between two values. I want to go 90. Actually, negative 90. And so now we have something like that. So our mesh is unified, but we have a modifier that's now able to make the lid fold back. And I just think that's pretty rad. You know, Blender is shifting heavily into this node direction, and so that means that I gotta begin getting an understanding of it if I'm to remain, you know, with the present. Otherwise, I'll be teaching outdated workflows from the 2.79 era. So that's what's got me in here. So we look at this, and it's so far so good, except for the pivot point, right? The pivot point is probably at the center point, so we actually want to set up a better pivot point. So let's realize our instances, and let's choose our selection, so that way we only realize just that one item. I've actually never used this node like this before, so. And what we want to do here is place a bounding box. Let's separate geometry. Alright, so which one do we want? This is what we were using to select our original instance that we were rotating back. In fact, we probably want to get our pivot point prior to it actually being rotated. So probably here. And we have bounding boxes around everything, and we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is, I guess, realize instances, and then we'll use a separation if we get so lucky, and no, we're not so lucky. So let's use the mesh islands, just in case that we are getting out of line trying to use our former group IDs. I should have a bounding box showing up here. Alright, let's try that again. Ooh, and I'm already running into issues with getting things to work the way that they're supposed to. So here we have our instances. We want to realize them, which gives us this as our mesh, and then we've put a bounding box around it, so maybe not realize all of them. Then we go over here. Alright, so we still, okay, now I need to realize instances, so we do that, and then we see that we have, you know, 11 instances, and then we realize it, and now we see that we have 66 faces, meaning that we are dealing with multiple cubes. Watch me learn something over the course of this video. Separate geometry, base, And now we're getting somewhere finally. Sorry about that. You know, there's no amount of preparation that will actually get me started, get me ready for making node content, because, you know, it, and I just joined that, and surprisingly I didn't mess up which index it was. So now that we have our island that we need, which is this one, we want to separate even more geometry from it. And this is just an indication of how my brain works. I'm sure there's other ways this could be done, but when it comes to me, this is how I've kind of rationalized it. So I'm basically breaking it down into boxes, and then I'm breaking it down into edges, and then the edge that I get, I'll be using as my pivot point. So let's create a situation where we can actually see what we have going on here. Join. And we'll mesh to curve, curve to mesh. I hate doing this. Circle, but the more I do it, the more I've gotten a understanding of what's going on. So now we have a edge allowing us to see kind of what's going on here. So this is the edge that we want. And we'll use a attribute statistic, which I was previously trying to use attribute capture, but it turns out that you need to capture things when they are inline. And this is kind of a side tangent, right? Like, we are just taking these nodes and we're using them to just get the origin point of the bounding box here in the middle of that. So that's what this is. This attribute statistics will give us the mean, and then we can actually take that mean and plug it into pivot point. And if we plug it into pivot point, then now we get this as our result, and that's much more desirable. In fact, usually I do something a little more undesirable with it in order to get it to work, and I kind of want it to be maybe a little bit over. I know this is I shouldn't even be doing this, but I wonder if we can transform geometry, and let us take this and plug it here. And we just want to move our origin just the slightest. We can't really see anything unless we are in wire mode. But what this means is that now the mesh that we're getting a statistic from, which I know it's hard to tell because I have all these nodes sitting on top of each other. I'm just going to turn it into a group in the end to simplify it. And now if we go back and we look at our main shape, I just want it somewhere along there. So let's jump back to it now that I have it with my 3D cursor. Alright, maybe there. And no matter how much I try to rehearse this, I'm still finding myself in these videos getting random. You know, like I wasn't planning on actually definitely not doing this. But you know, the Yeti box is so much more specific than a generic box I would have just modeled, so we have to get that good origin point. And I mean, we could probably get it better by getting the specific bounding box around that object that we're going to be using, but we'll keep it sane. And so let's go back over here, and now we are rotating like so. But before we rotate, we want to rotate the latches out the way, because the way that our box opens is what I would call inaccurate. You know, it's not really the most accurate way to open a box. I'm trying to slide it like I'm talking, but we'll save that part for the end. Wireframe view looks pretty cool. I just like looking at it, you know, just, you know, it's so solid, but it's so wire, right? Like, it's solid wire, but it's wire. Never mind. I'll get weird if I keep going. So the next thing is we want the latches to pop open. whenever this happens. So I'm going to put another rotate instances, and for this one we're just going to duplicate this, and let's just look at this instances, and we want a particular mesh island. We want 3. And for this, I've been using ors. Not sure if that's the best way to do it, but I'll use an or and just use it to add things to my selections, like you see me doing here. Alright, and we're just jumping through our indexes, and so we want 1 and 2. But what is 0? Okay, 0's that, so we want 1, not that one. We'll Shift D, but we'll Control Z so we get our thing back, and we'll change this over to 2. And I know this is the worst node tutorial ever, but one day I think I'll be able to turn this into something a lot more explainable. So now that we have these 2 latches, we can also do the same thing that we did up here. So let's try to reuse this. And I'm not even sure anymore. Alright. And we'll press Control G, make it a new group. And so for this, we put in our instances. It you know, gives the bounding boxes realize the instances. And from here, we want to choose which mesh. Okay, wait, wrong one. This one is which mesh. Mesh. And this one is edge. And we want to maybe give this a subsection, like a panel, and then from there we can plug up translation, and we'll just call that offset, just in case we need to deal with offset. We'll have something there for that. And I think that's it in the end. We just have this thing providing us the position. So I'm just looking for the output, and we'll just call it position. Hopefully that works out. Like, I've been watching a lot of node tutorials just trying to get an understanding of this, because I see that, you know, it hasn't changed so much from last year. So every year I get a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. So this year I give up. I'm trying to go all the way there. We'll call this we'll just call it instance origin finder. All right. And we want to only rotate these, which is crazy. Let's plug our very complex case in there. I mean, it's not too complex, but, and we only want to rotate it on the X. So how will we get a bound around this proper? I think we will need to duplicate it and make it special. And we'll call this one multi-instance origin finder. And so we have 2 of these. We can find the origins for one, and we can find it for one that's comprised of multiple objects. So let's plug our instances in there and give it a try. So this one is a unique one compared to the one below, which is for one island. This one is for when your islands are multiple islands. So let's see how that works. So whenever we realize it here, maybe we can pass in a selection. Let's try it. I'm going to just throw out selection over there, and maybe that will let me put selection here. And let's go in and see how that works out. So we got that. We have those instances. We have our separation. And this is where things will start to get more complicated. because we have our instances, but when it comes to what we're separating, we'll need to specify that outside the mesh. So that one is just our visual mesh, but we do want to see what happened here. Looks like we can't just separate it like so. Just passing indexes from one type of thing to another. I mean, once we realize it, these meshes aren't instances anymore, so we can't just hit it with that 1, 2, 3, 4 system of that one, or at least that's what my brain is telling me in my head. I'm thinking so many thoughts when I'm working with this stuff, but you know, it's mainly theories and questions, and is this it? Is this what I'm looking at? Is this what's going on? Is this what's going on? You know, that's what my brain's saying over and over and over as I'm working with this. It's like, is this what's going on? Is this what's going on? And you know, now I'm starting to actually get answers back. All right, let's do this. That's our bounding box. Those are instances. And we just want instances. All right. Sorry, I've confused myself. Let me it's because once you connect everything up on the outside, the only way to modify it is to go outside of it. So it just makes it a little tougher. All right, so our instances come in. And this is where we could probably deal with things. Because if we split instances, separate components, I don't even know how to use that particular node. I'll have to come back to that one. All right, so recapping, we have our door able to open, and all we want is to be able to have our latches open in advance and go with it. In fact, that's going to be what makes it tough, right? Because we're going to have to modify our secondary one. And this is where this really throws me off, is because I just can't think in these terms. But I'm really trying to. I'm really trying to. All right. And then we realize it. And then when we separate it, this is where things break down. In fact, did we disconnect it in both of them? No, just in this one. Okay, so I was goofing up, guys. Okay, so this one's probably number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So less than or equal. We'll do that, less than or equal to 4, and then we'll equal to 0, and let's put a or, and we'll put a not, so or not. All right, and we almost had it. So let's go here, and we don't want that, so we want all of that, but not this box that we are looking at here. All right, we're almost there. In fact, maybe that's it. We got our bounding boxes around our selection. Geez, I have goofed up somewhere. I know I have. But I do want to survive this. Alright, and we will get that edge. So 4. And for this one, you know, maybe having those on the outside just isn't going to help us. Alright, so now let's go and take a look at what we have. Alright, so now we just want to set up our origin, and this is like half of my adventure with geometry nodes has been just setting up little shapes to just give me more indication than what I'm used to getting inside of Blender, because you know that's always been Blender's struggle, is or at least to me, is just conveying the information that needs to be conveyed. So now we have our origin. So let's go down, and I almost feel bad about and we just want something like that. And I wonder if I could parent them together and make them move together. I mean, I know I can. It will just be most regrettable. Alright. And we'll use a mix again. And we'll set this to 1. And let's just determine what we want our end result to be. Something like that. So basically the doors will pop open, and then fully open. And we want those to be together, which I just realized if I get this to work out would be quite crazy. You know what? We'll put and, you know, that's probably what you're saying as the viewer, and no, I'll play. Probably not and, probably or. It is just unchecking local that did that for me. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sometimes I randomly click a button and it will just give me the results I want. I know that's... You're not watching me because you want a good tutorial. You're watching me because you want an entertaining tutorial. So let's go with map range. Map range is just how... I wanted to do a GeoNodes tutorial about something way more interesting, but I just can't figure it out yet. I will, but I just haven't been able to yet. Because apparently scaling things to fit within things is actually a lot harder than you think it would be. I thought that was like done and that was just a thing, but it's tougher. It's tougher than... Let's take this value that we added and we'll just give it a value of 0 and 1, so that way we can... Hey, we're done, guys. Dunzos. You know how that feels? You know how it feels to be dunzos? No, I'm playing. But it does feel good to have accomplished a goal. Alright, and I want to animate this value and then map it to a recorded audio, just like something I saw in a Blender talk recently during the Blender conference, which really got me inspired and back to work and showed me that, hey, people are mastering these nodes and I gotta be one of them. So let's look at this. We are just doing that. Ha 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 ha. And what's crazy is this is an entirely manifold mesh. Like everything is together in this. I can still go into edit mode and mess with it. I think these nodes are so weird. Geometry nodes, like you pretty much gotta turn the dang thing off. Display modifier in edit mode. Alright, let's see. Alright, so I think geometry nodes is a little mean with how it deals with the real-time viewport display, because it really shouldn't be there like it is, but... Oh, I was in edit mode. let's also turn off subdivision. I forgot I was keeping things performant. Alright, so let's now test the recording part. So I was over here in Sound Recorder from Microsoft, which, you know, it's not really great or anything, but it's built into Windows, so let's give it a try. Hello everyone, it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for watching. And we'll show it folder, and I'm just going to copy that path. So now let us split this. I'm going to press I to map this with a keyframe. It could be 0, probably easier to make it 0. And let's make this a graph editor. And here's our item. And all we want to do is go under the top and choose sound to samples. And I'm just going to go and grab that recording I just made. And the settings that we have, we'll just use those. And from here, I'm just thinking, what else do I want to do before I hit play? Oh, I want to turn this into a VSE, because otherwise you guys won't even be able to hear the playback. And from here, we will just put the audio file in. All right. And we want to make sure that we are on the right frame. And another thing is, I'll go on the end panel and check mono, because I record it with my mic that records in mono, and that's really it. So now, okay, so it appears that my box is barely getting open. So let's take this and we'll set this to 0.1, because they're just latches, and we'll go from 0.1 to, oh wait, not that, 0.1 to 1. And now let's try it. And that almost does it, but it doesn't. It doesn't do it. So we gotta go in here and take a look at our audio. And what we could also do is put a generator on this, which a generator will assist us with getting this to be more intense, but there's probably a simpler one for that. Not that one. That probably is the generator. .002. Alright, we are messing up on this. Let's get this one out of here. We want to make it more intense. Let me double check. Alright, so what I'll do is basically delete the keyframe. We'll just clear that, and we'll make it again. So we'll just press I to set the keyframe. And we'll go under channel, sound to samples. Alright, and that should have done it. Let's double check. Alright, so it appears that the easiest solution to this would be to just go up to channels and just go ahead and choose just channels to keys, and basically I want to scale this up to fit within the range of 1.0. So we see that it's quite a ways away from that. So let us put our 3D cursor back at the beginning and at the bottom, and we'll press SY, and all we're doing is just scaling these points to be as close to 1.0 as possible. In fact, we have one that's a little over. So now let us try to play it back. And that is pleasing. Let us look at this together. So what I'll need to do is enable audio. So one moment while I restart this recording track. Alright, so now we should be able to bop together. So here, let's listen to the playback. Hello everyone, it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing?
Pack my resources.
Thank you for watching. To the patrons, they'll be able to.
Hello everyone,
it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing? Flip open. Thank you for watching. Do an animation.
Hello everyone,
it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing? In fact, let me
Thank
pause
you.
this animation. But yeah, with that, we've completed the goal, which was to get this thing talking. In fact, we can hit this thing with the smooth, shift click it with sharpen to really get it back
for watching.
Looking good.
Hello everyone, it's your host MX2,
let's look at our
and today
topology.
I am a talking box.
The topology
Hello,
looks that
how
good.
are you doing?
The box is,
Thank
the
you
topology
for
looks that
watching.
good. The box is allowed to use my voice.
Hello everyone, it's your host
with that, I'll
MX2,
wrap up this
and
video.
today I am a
And
talking
thank you all
box.
for watching.
Hello,
I'll see you guys
how are you doing?
next time.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Hello everyone, it's your host MX2, and today I am a talking box. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for watching.